Well, I talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, doom, 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 doom. Talk about crazy. I gotta move on. What? I gotta move on. Doom, 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 boom, boom. This video is brought to you by Extreme Tees. Click on the link below. Make sure you put Kevin in the promo code and you'll get a 20% discount. Friends, aren't you ready for life to get back to normal? I know I am. There's one thing that none of us can afford to ignore. Another crisis can happen at any time and without warning. But this time, you can have peace of mind knowing that you are prepared in advance for whatever happens. So ask yourself, do you have enough food, water, and emergency supplies to get through the next time? If not, you need to check out My Patriot Supply. They are America's leading preparedness company and they will help you become happily self-reliant. Their mission is your survival. Their food is delicious too and stays fresh for up to 25 years, so it will be there for you when you need it. You won't have to worry if something happens. You will be well prepared. Order today and your food will be delivered in 2 to 3 days. Go to preparedwithkevinscorner.com right now and do what you know you need to do. That is preparedwithkevinscorner.com. Now, let's get back to the video. Won't you take me to boom boom crazy town? Boom boom. Won't you take me to boom boom crazy town? Boom boom. Won't you take me to boom boom crazy town? Boom boom. Won't you take me to boom boom crazy town? Gotta move on. That's right, y'all. Today, we going to crazy time. I'm taking y'all into the mind of the crazy person. Or should I say crazy people? That's right. The Democrats, this whole progressive movement, this woke culture have made some folks that normally seem like they have their wits about them become full-blown crazy. Now, instead of me doing a lot of commentary, what I'm going to do is let this video speak for itself. And y'all that's out there that still is holding on to a couple pieces of common sense, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about as you watch this video of nothing but crazy town. Let's get it.
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President Obama is the ex-president. And Mr. Trump, for the moment,
I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Fuck! Could this year get any fucking worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
Yesterday, I realized that I'm white and that I have all the advantages of being part of that group. I was reading White Fragility. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I'm taking that next step in my journey to understanding what's happening, what equity is about, what racial equity is about, what anti-racism is about and what racism is about. I realized that I'm white, and it's part of a white supremacy culture.
So, get your singing voices ready. The dance of the drag queen goes twirl, twirl, twirl.
Twirl, twirl, twirl. Twirl, twirl, twirl.
I think we might have some drag queens in training on our hands.
Last week, how profound it is that I am playing the fairy godmother. They call it the Fab G. Magic has no gender. We are presenting this character as genderless. That the new generation is really ready. You know, the kids are ready. It's the grown-ups that are slowing stuff down.
That quote. Yeah. Put that quote on a t-shirt. Put that quote everywhere.
Yeah, like kids are okay with it.
You know, earlier just now, you and I were talking about the what and the how.
Yeah.
And I think
that when we talk about establishing peace, centering people's humanities, protecting people's rights, it's not just about the what and the end goal, which often gets a lot of focus, but I actually think it's much more about the how and the way that we are coming together and how we interpret that what and how we act in the actions that we take to get to that what. And so what this really is about is that it's a question more than anything else about process.
Hi. Can we please hear it for Haley? House of Labor, the interior of the house, and the con feels to get that certificate to do that important work, the kind of work that's happening right here at IBW. We are going to invest in America's future. We said we were going to go to the moon, and then we planted a flag there. IBW 490 graduated the first woman electrician in the state of New Hampshire.
And what was worse about this, Mr. Chairman, was the fact that there were American flags hanging all over these facilities, that children were being separated from their parents in front of an American flag, that women were being called these names under an American flag.
Mr. Chairman, it needs to be noted into record. I spoke to CPB agents, even though they told us not to speak to them too. Remember that? And I said, what do you think we need to do because you guys are overwhelmed? They said, one of them, stop sending money, it's not working. Another one said, I wasn't trained for this. I am not a social worker. I am not a medical care worker. He actually said, I want to be at the border. That's what I was trained to be at. The last one, Mr. Chairman, the separation policy isn't working, he said.
No matter how hard we try and how hard we train, they will beat us.
Seeking to bar transgender females like Andrea Yearwood and Terry Miller from competing in girls' sports.
So you don't want to run with the boys and not the girls.
So what are we? Are we not human like everybody?
Brought up the police in your speech a few times. So what is your main concern?
I do support our police, and we have bad people, and the people that do bad things should be brought to justice. I agree with that. But I think that say it again. Who do we call when we're in trouble and someone has a knife or a gun?
I wouldn't call the police.
Why wouldn't you call the police?
I don't trust them. My life's in more danger.
Who would you call?
And their presidents.
Professor, who would you call?
I wouldn't call anybody.
Well, would you have? If someone intruded your house with a gun, would you have a gun on you, or
no.
Who would you call?
It's my time to go.
The garbage that they are being fed 24/7 on the internet by their constituents, and they bought into this big lie. And the question is,
how are we going to really almost deprogram these people who have signed up for the cult of Trump?
The Trumpist cult, and we have to be deprogrammed. Do you have any idea how we start that process, much less complete it?
We have to start seriously addressing the question of how to deprogram nearly 75 million Trumpists. This is not a trivial matter. This is
not easy to do. I've said before, Trump will go, but the Trumpists will still be here. The Trumpism.
When I wrote the Cult of Trump book in 2019, I said, if he doesn't get reelected, there's going to be violence. Let's not forget Jim Jones and what happened when he was exposed. He ordered not only the killing of Congressman Leo Ryan, but his followers as well.
A retail strategy of convincing individuals that their views are misguided is just too time consuming. I had this caller to my show last week who said, David, I did it. I deprogrammed one Trumpist. And I said, yeah, well, how long did it take? And the guy said it took 3 hours. So as you can see, 3 hours times 75 million.
That's a problem.
The Trump critic and Republican strategist John Weaver said the GOP is not a party anymore in the traditional sense. It's a cult.
If I had a real friend who was involved in a cult, which I feel it is cultish behavior, I must try to help them. So he lies to people and they believe it. And so what is that? Cultish behavior, and I think a lot of people need to be deprogrammed right now before they cast their next ballot.
Terrorist Trump must be defeated, must be destroyed, must be devoured at the ballot box. And then he, and his enablers, and his supporters, and his collaborators, and the Mike Lees, and the William Barrs, and the Sean Hannitys, and the Mike Pences, and the Rudy Giulianis, and the Kyle Rittenhouses, and the Amy Coney Barretts must be prosecuted and convicted and removed from our society while we try to rebuild it.
You know, there's simply nothing more important than getting the resources we need to vaccinate people in this country as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. We're not going to get our economy back in shape and millions of people back to work until we beat this virus. As I said, everyone from Moody's on Wall Street to the whole range of other think tanks indicates that if we do this plan, we'll get to full employment within 2 years. We'll be in a situation where we actually grow the economy, creating millions of jobs immediately, and put us in a position where we are going to have the GDP grow at a higher rate.
Right here in Michigan, with Governor Whitmer, FEMA has provided tens of millions of dollars to bolster the state's community vaccination centers. From the National Guard at the Expo Center here in Kalamazoo, to the TCF Center in Detroit, to parking lots and churches across the state. We've worked with governors in California, Texas, New York, and more to come to stand up mass vaccine sites and stadiums that'll be open 24/7.
Soon be able to confirm the purchase of an additional 100 million doses for each of the 2 FDA-authorized vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna. 200 million more doses than the federal government had previously secured. And the order, and that increases the total vaccine order in the United States by 50%, from 400 million order to 600 million. This is enough vaccine to fully vaccinate 300 Americans by end of the summer, the beginning of the fall. But we want to make, look, I want to repeat, it'll be enough to fully vaccinate 300 Americans to beat this pandemic.
We all know there's some history, there's some hesitancy about taking this vaccine. We all know there's history in this country of having subjected certain communities to terrible medical abuses in the past. But if there's one message to cut through to everyone in this country, it's this: the vaccines are safe.
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't.
Take the vaccine when it's your turn.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population. And so
we deployed more vaccinators, the people to put the vaccine in your arm. We all know the terrible price this nation has paid. Their veins just bulging. You know what's really sad about all this? I've been
been talking about this, but every time I repeat it, I get more, well, not very happy. But told that right-wing extremist group to, quote, stand back. He keeps telling us that this virus are likely to be lost in the coming months. That's what you needed 10 years ago in your automobile industry. On Wall Street, Moody's, a well-respected Wall Street firm. We're going to end Trump's incentive. He actually he talks about his trade deal because he refused to embrace wearing a mask. How many times on television do you see him make fun of Biden wearing a mask? Because he refuses. And weatherize 2 million homes. That alone will save hundreds of thousands of millions of barrels of oil. An independent analysis found that my plan will slash the cost of prescription drugs. Donald Trump, President Trump, Donald Trump. Look, what's this guy talking about? I'm getting confused here, man. Turning abandoned buildings and dangerous lots into places of life and hope. More than 16,000 16,000 people in Florida. He said, we're rounding the corner. I'll put and plan a place, and Dr. Fauci said last week, Donald Trump inherited a strong economy from Barack and me. For child care, for caring for your aged loved ones, for eliminating college debt. He said Trump is bankrupt. Out-of-pocket spending, reduce the unknown billing, reduce prescription drug costs according to the experts, by up to 60%. He won't say Black Lives Matter, allowing insurers to jack up your premiums. When I met with the family, his little daughter said, from the West Coast burning, the middle part of the country flooding, a minimum wage of $15 an hour. But I'm going to bring Democrats and Republicans together to deliver the economic relief. When I read from serious people about 8 months ago, I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm going to not going to shut down the country. I'm going to shut down the virus. Like everything else he's left and inherited, he squandered it. No matter what you hear this president lying about, no one making less than $700,000 a year, or it should be $400,000 a year, will have 1 penny in taxes raised, including 340,000 Georgians. Hello, folks. Good afternoon. Thanks for your patience. We, in fact, our team, this transition team, our team, the senator and I, what we need to do now is how we need to do it. Let me choose my words. The federal government has to deliver this release sooner rather than later to provide 330 million vaccinations. Vaccine. We have to actually get vaccinations into the arms of 330 million Americans. Governors need to be able to get funding when they need to bring their National Guard into play. And I think it is well, I don't know his motive. It's not a political statement. It's a patriotic duty. And what the president's doing now is really it's going to we have to not only deal with this pandemic, we have to plan for the next one. And I just and my boss is going to tell me who that is. And but it just it's hard to fathom how this man thinks. It's hard to fathom. It's just out of the, not even within the norm at all. And I'm sure we can proclaim a promise to vote straight up and unnecessary. By the way, in prison, the determination should be that your sexual identity is defined by what you say it is, not what in fact the prison says it is. And in that case, you should be entitled also to OGBYN. Anyway, you didn't ask that question.
Wake
I've thought this for a while, but I've never said it on here, so here we go. I don't think that racists should be allowed to use tanning salons. If you don't like melanin, then you don't get any! Melanin for you!
The obesity epidemic isn't real, and it shouldn't be an anti-capitalist talking point. When someone unironically references the obesity epidemic or even uses the word obesity, it tells me they really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to fatness. This use of the word obesity stems directly from the BMI, which was created by a eugenicist with no medical training who based the scale only on white bodies and cow math.
You think I owe you an apology?
Fat phobia is a direct result of anti-blackness. And it has deadly consequences for many groups of indigenous folks and other people of color, as well as fat folks.
Want me to take back some of those mean and hurtful little things I said?
When you make the obesity epidemic a real symptom of capitalism, you are not only ostracizing fat people from anti-capitalist thinking, but also actively ignoring that the health outcomes related to obesity are more accurately attributed to food deserts and fatphobic discrimination in healthcare. The obesity epidemic was created by Western medicine to avoid addressing the actual causes of health inequity, which is what we as anti-capitalists should be doing.
Okay. I'm sorry you're just a little turd that can't hold your liquid out in public. Now you get on out in my face while I pick you up and toss you out that window.
I am a white, transmasculine, femme, non-binary, temporarily mostly able-bodied, neurodivergent, obsessive-compulsive, chronically ill, culturally Jewish, Unitarian Universalist, non-monogamous, demi-low romantic, gray demi-bisexual, survivor of acute and complex trauma, millennial, and cat parent in mental health recovery.
White privilege. Think about it. Whose flesh tone is this? I have brown band-aids in my classroom. I had to special order them. They're twice as much as these, and they're hard to find, and they're frequently out of stock. But when I hand a brown child a white Band-Aid, I am literally adding insult to injury, and I refuse to do that in my classroom.
I would argue that at the next opportunity for any bill that's appropriate, I might actually put in an amendment to create a curfew for men on the streets after 6 p.m., which I feel would make women a lot safer.
Hi, my name is Bunny, and I use bun pronouns. Bun pronouns are a form of neopronoun. Outside of he and she pronouns, there's a whole world of neopronouns that can be used. In my case, mine are based off of bunny. So instead of she, her, hers, herself, it's bun, bun, buns, bunself. So how do we use it? Bun went to the store. Bun didn't like what Bun saw. Bun thinks of Bunself as a wonderful, caring, giving person. Now, fun thing for me is that my name Bunny, my nickname is Bun. Bun pronouns can also be name self pronouns where you use the name as the pronouns. So, Bun went to the store is not only a neopronoun, but could also be referring to me by my nickname. Thank you!
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Competent leaders getting us back on our feet. The American Rescue Plan. It has almost everything. Reading it over, you'd think, really? No Republicans voted for this thing. It's got a path to reopen our schools. It's like they care. It's a big deal. Don't you wanna go out dancing, having convos with those, what are they called again? Oh yeah, friends! And now by May 1st, we can all get the vaccine.
Fail to account for white supremacy and veganism, you get white veganism.
White veganism focuses solely on animal liberation while ignoring the context of colonization and imperialism and how all of this impacts all living beings and the planet.
Not all white people vegans are white vegans.
Our veganism must be intersectional, accessible, anti-racist, anti-imperialist, and decolonized.
If you don't believe that there is white privilege, please don't teach. If you don't believe that Black Lives Matter, please don't teach. If you don't believe in systemic racism and how it negatively impacts our students of color and don't want to help dismantle those systems, please don't teach.
Wake
Transgender athlete bans introduced in 31 states, signed into law so far in Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi.
This important piece of legislation will ensure that young girls in Mississippi have a fair, level playing field.
Opponents say the laws have no basis in science. Transgender females have no inherent physical advantage, especially since rules require hormone suppression therapy to qualify.
Our policies should be driven by facts and by science, not by fear.
So this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful.
Oh.
Walk lightly.
Oh.
We ain't playing with you. Enough of the shenanigans. And for those of you who are soldiers, you know how to do it.
Do what?
Do it right.
Do what right?
Be in order. Make them pay.
Second are reconstruct. You had to deconstruct the horrible situation that the Trump administration had created at the border. Deconstruct it so you can reconstruct a better system, and they have.
It would rather see our country burn than to see them be shoulder to shoulder equal to others. White supremacists will never, ever, ever live in a world where they will see their fantasies come true. Ever.
Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. The link is below this video. If you click on it and put Kevin in the promo code, you'll get a 20% discount. And finally, don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And if you'd like to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, there's links below this video to do that as well. Okay, God bless you and God bless America.